Hello all, Rick here and welcome to another Index video, this time looking into a mysterious species from Star Trek lore, one we never actually see on screen, the Tzenkethi. The fact that they are mentioned but never shown has led to several depictions of them in official apocryphal content, which does not count as canon to the shows. Normally, I wouldn't mind and issue my normal disclaimer incorporating beta content where it doesn't conflict to flesh out the alien culture, tech, and so on. But in this case, the portrayals of the Tzenkethi are radically different, primarily in the post-Dominion War books, and the focus of this video, their appearance in Star Trek Online. Nevertheless, I will mention a bit of lore from the other version of the Tzenkethi towards the end. For now though, let's look at what is depicted about them in the canon of the shows. The Tzenkethi are from a planet named Tzenketh in the Alpha Quadrant world, which shares a border with the Federation. This has been the site for numerous skirmishes with the Tzenkethi and at least one war in the mid-24th century. Suffice to say, they are not the biggest fans of the United Federation of Planets. Its government is probably an autocracy, with all the power residing with a single individual, the Autarch. In 2371, there was a coup that overthrew the prior Autarch, and that is the last we hear of the Tzenkethi. That's about it. We have no descriptions, no exact date for the war, and no idea of the level of technology they have. They do have a presence outside of their homeworld on colonies such as Mikamas 3, so their territory is definitely greater than a single system. So, this is all true for the STO depiction of them, but we have more to go on, including samples of their tech, culture, and appearance, which apparently is pretty close to how Robert Hewitt Wolfe originally envisioned their look. Biologically, the Tzenkethi are most similar to lizards, but not quite, as their skin lacks scales and they have 6 limbs. They stand around 9 to 10 foot tall and are heavy, slow and hunched. Their skin is frequently compared in texture to Earth rhinos, and it has tougher patches on the head, shoulders, back and limbs. Their skin tones seem to vary between purples, violets, cyan and pinkish hues. They have soft bluish bioluminescence that shows most visibly around their eyes, neck and belly, which clothing keeps exposed. Some Tzenkethi also have horns and tusks, although these seem to be a rarity. However, many suits of armour are styled to resemble such features. Their upper arms are bulky and powerful, capable of flinging enemies around with a passing swipe, while 2 smaller arms jut from below these. These secondary arms are less muscled and much shorter. Each limb has 3 digits, 2 fingers and a thumb. If I had to guess, and I do because we don't know, their build is probably the result of a higher gravity world. The larger forearms are long enough to reach the ground, which would provide support in a high gravity environment, and their slow movements are deliberate to avoid a fall. Their smaller arms would therefore be the ones to be used in the manipulation of finer devices. The only thing that stands in opposition to this, however, is that several times we step aboard a Tzenkethi vessel and find the gravity tolerable for humans. And Garrick has apparently been to Tzenketh. Their government is referred to as the Tzenkethi Coalition, and still headed by an Autarch in 2410. This Autarch's power within the Coalition is unlimited, and their orders are absolute. This adherence to hierarchy runs hand in hand with their militaristic culture, where subordinates do not question their orders, and everything done, no matter how questionable, is for the greater good. There is a class system in play on Tzenketh, however we do not know the specifics. Those of noble descent have the term Zen added to their family name, and this caste system is reflected in their alternate portrayal in the books, so it may be a nod to this. The Tzenkethi sort of embody the philosophy of commitment to a course of action or ideal. They observe their life as a series of paths that they embark upon and journey down, which gives them rigidity and forces an unwavering resolve. Their actions and orders choose what path they begin, but once they have metaphorically started on this journey, it provides guidelines and a clear destination or goal, something to fix their eyes on at its conclusion. This adherence to paths means that they seldom deal in half measures. This can be an admirable quality in some aspects, but it often creates a culture that is unwilling to question their actions, and those that do end up being shunned as straying from their path and walking a new path of exile. The Tzenkethi have rather powerful technology, but it's not as advanced as Starfleet's, or at least lacks the finesse that the UFP tech tends to require. The Tzenkethi themselves are powerfully built and brutish in stature, so their gear and spaceships tend to follow the same forceful approach. Starting with their battlesuits, the Tzenkethi frame can support much heavier equipment than a humanoid species because they can quite simply carry more. For example, a portable force field generator, while a cumbersome piece of equipment that has to be set up for a human, can be attached to the back of the hulking Tzenkethi, and then it can project a powerful shield over the back of the wearer, covering their rear with a powerful shield. Their armour too also supports weaponry that would again be considered cumbersome for smaller aliens, such as back-mounted cannons and mortars. Their larger arms are usually equipped with powerful cannons too, and all these devices are connected to numerous relays and controls on their forearms and an eye-covering heads-up display. It's all powered by a backpack, again one too big for general humanoids to haul around, and this energy source can be tapped into by nearby Tzenkethi forces sharing the resource. Their primary energy supply seems to be Tetrion-based, although they begin incorporating protomatter during the Star Trek Online storyline. Most do not carry melee weapons into battle, because their incredible strength is sufficient enough to shatter most unfortunate victims with a blow. Although they do appear to be slow and lumbering, their brawn does mean that they are capable of unexpected explosive feats of strength, such as sudden charges, wild swings, and impressive leaps of distance. Again, maybe because their world is of higher gravity, so in lower gravity environments they can jump further. Because of their generally slower pace and lack of dexterity, they employ numerous drones to support themselves on the ground. Such drones are carried on their armour before being deployed as support and carry out numerous functions. Their ships follow similarly brutish tactics. The vessels are domed, presenting similarly armoured fronts, which actually share design philosophies with the Klingons, in that most of their weaponry is forwards facing. Just as with their ground forces using back shield emitters, their vessels are also reinforced at the back, with the weakest point of the shield being right in front of them. Naturally, this means that if you want to hit their weakest point, you have to enter their kill box, or attack from the rear at a disadvantage, giving these slow vessels time to turn to face you. Subterfuge, as you may get the impression, is not their strong suit. Although it's not like they will ignore a tactical advantage. They may set up an ambush or target weaker and remote locations to spread out an enemy fleet, but once the effluence strikes the rotary wind displacement device, well, they tend to knuckle down and go full rhino charge. One thing that stands out on their armour is the inclusion of these crystalline objects adorning it. However, what they are is kind of unknown, but the number of them increases with the rank of the Tzenkethi wearing them. They are probably not a component necessary for the operation of their armour, as lower ranks lack them, and a suit of reverse-engineered armour also doesn't have them. In some of the interconnected books, the Tzenkethi joined the Typhon Pact, a unification of generally anti-Federation powers such as the Romulans, Tholians and Breen. This depicts the Tzenkethi radically different from the STO version. Here they are described as humanoid, graceful and attractive. Like, notably attractive to many species. Think Asari if you're familiar with the Mass Effect, in that many species tend to find them pleasing despite the differences among the various humanoids. Internally, they basically run on organic hydraulics rather than musculature, and they have a bioluminescent glow to their skin, which is a trait seen in the STO version. This is about as far from the lumbering, hulking lizard tanks we see in Star Trek Online, but again with not even a hint as to their appearance in Canon. Who knows what version Star Trek will go with, if they ever make an appearance, although I bet they'd simply create a new design. They are intelligent, capable and powerful, and do engage in diplomacy. It just seems that their adherence to their strict paths makes them stubborn, relentless and slow to change their minds, which is probably why the Federation has had ongoing issues with them. Looking at the Tzenkethi from STO, it reminds me very much of the Elcor from Mass Effect, which are similarly built and talk about their martial prowess as a similar sort of living tank. So, speaking of species from other science fiction franchises, let's look at the options for the next video. Option 1 are the similarly autocratic, state-minded Batarians of Mass Effect lore, or from the Star Wars universe, the Quarren, as they lost a vote a while ago, but not by much. So thanks again for watching this video, and I hope to see you again for another lore one. I've been Rick, and goodbye.